And then quite often, for the same sort of reasons, I'll have dreams where I'm on my back with my legs up in the air. But at least then, we could confidently call Prince Andrew a paedophile.
Yeah. Hell, am I going to make the thumbnail for this?
I don't know.
Say something controversial.
Have
you seen OJ Simpson has a TikTok account?
No, I haven't. Something I don't care about, but it's something that completely accidentally, it would look like you've worn the same clothes for a week.
I just went back and I looked, and I was wearing a slightly different coloured checkered top, and then my Send Newts Pingu top. And instead I'm on my Monkey Island one. But our tops are quite... we're wearing...
Well, we wear the same bloody
We have
tops,
the same...
yeah,
basically, we have the Tony Hawk Pro
fashion.
Skater 2 default.
Well, here's the thing, right? I can't just walk around in Quicksilver hoodies anymore.
Why not? You're like... Because you can't buy Quicksilver hoodies anymore.
I don't even know where you go to buy Quicksilver. Probably... I imagine the only place, right, that I would go to... If you were like, you have to go and buy some Quicksilver, where are you going? I'm going to Gunwharf Quays in Portsmouth.
Yeah, but that's just even that as well. Quicksilver, I know they have an animal there, if they still have the animal there, but I've also not been there for many moons.
I haven't been there for ages. But it's the only place I remember that had like the outlets for like Animal and like Burberry and like all of the clothes stores. They had the outlets there for them.
Yeah.
Like Vans, they had a Vans store, and I used to go to the Vans store.
I'm sure they still have the Vans store, I reckon. What was the hoodies as kids that had the fireball or the water drop? Do you remember those? Was it like Spitfire?
I think so.
Or something like that. I can't really remember what it was, but I remember that used to be the only outfit. It was like, okay, I put this hoodie on and it had like a little fire flame with like a...
No, that's not going to work.
Like, is it 90s?
You can't Google fire hoodie in 2023 because
fire hoodie is like literally fire hoodie.
Yeah, he's hoodies on fire.
Or you're getting Guy Fieri hoodies, which is pretty cool to be fair. I can't believe you just googled fire hoodies. How you doing, B? You alright?
Oh, we are. This bitch is live.
What's good is whenever we start a podcast, we always like a little behind the scenes.
That was the best one yet.
We set everything up, and then we do a tech test, right? And then we know between the tech test and the podcast is obviously the start of the podcast.
Weird? This is like when you have a dream, but it's like about your real life, and then you wake up and you're like, I don't know, am I still dreaming or not? I'm like trying to think, when did this podcast start?
Yeah. What have I said?
How far back have we...
What were we talking about?
Is this a dream?
I had... you've just unlocked a dream, and it's a boring dream thing, but I'll do it really quickly. As a kid, so I'm wearing Thomas the Tank Engine pajamas.
Oh, okay. Right, so at least 5 years ago.
Yeah. It's definitely before Becky. No, so I'm like maybe 10 or 11, but I vividly remember I had this dream where we were out shopping, and my mum turned into sand, right? This like colourful pile of sand, and I was really sad.
Was this like shortly after the release of Spider-Man 2?
It might have been. I don't know. I don't know.
Sandman.
Yeah, it could possibly. I was a big Spider-Man kid, but she turned into sand, and I woke up and I went downstairs, and I think it was my dad was there, and he was like, "Oh, what's wrong? You look sad." And I was like, "I had this horrible dream where my mum turned into a pile of sand." And he was like, "That happened yesterday at the shopping centre." And then I woke up again. And then I was like, I woke up crying, but I was crying because my mum turned into sand, which obviously isn't real, but dreams like, get you, man.
Because I've like recently, like over the last like sort of like year and a half, I've started having like really lucid dreams. But it's always just, I'm not dreaming about anything. I'm just dreaming about mundane everyday life stuff.
Mundane with an O.
Mundane everyday life stuff. Right? Like, you know, just going to work or whatever, like just normal.
That sucks.
And then you wake up and you're like, it's the scariest thing ever, because then you're like, my God, like, what day is it? Like, what time is it? Like, is this a dream? Am I actually awake now? And then I'm like, I'm trying to remember like the plot of like Inception. I'm like, do I need like a thing, like a spinny thing or something? Like, how does that work? What were the rules there?
I think I was gonna say though, you said you had lots of lucid dreams. I don't think you're having lucid
Well,
dreams.
no, I don't know the name
You're
for
having
it, but...
vivid dreams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
real, like I have a couple in my head where I've had these dreams where something happens, and then in every detail I can remember like a movie that I've watched. Right, I can remember everything. Whereas like last night I had a dream and I was trying to remember it this morning. I couldn't. That's typical. But the lucid dream is something that I have not always been able to do, but I throughout my life have always been really conscious of trying to do it, which is where you realize you're in a dream and then you take control.
Right.
And it's the coolest thing ever. And like I think anyone can do it, but to do it you have to, like, the thing that I do is I count my fingers, right? And I go 1 2 3 4 5. So right now I'm awake because I've counted 5 fingers. In a dream, because your brain is like, I'm going to check if I'm awake or not. If you're dreaming and you count your fingers, you won't be able to count them. There'll be like 6 or 7. I'll start counting and I'm like the 7, 8 blurry, and then my head goes, this is a dream. And then you can try and take control of it. It's a cool thing to do.
I need to start.
But it takes like
I need to start
months.
learning that, so that the next time I'm dreaming that I'm in a queue at the post office, I can do something else.
This is what I'm saying. When you said I'm having lucid dreams, but what I do is I just go to work.
I'm
And
just-
I'm like,
I'm
what are
just
you
like-
doing?
Yeah.
The first time.
Roll with titles.
Oh, I almost rolled the outro. I can't remember which button does what. What's funny is we always talk about dreams being boring, and then we always talk about dreams.
Well, I don't ever talk about dreams.
No,
Like I
but
was only talking about dreams in the context of what we were talking
lucid
about.
dreaming is interesting, but when it's like I had a dream where my sister was a
Shut
frog,
up.
and yeah, it's like
I don't care. I don't care about your dreams.
And they're always
I
not
wasn't there.
interesting either.
And they're like, no, you were there. Like, I wasn't there, you idiot. I don't care.
Yeah, 100%. The first lucid dream I had, it was, I think, the school I went to. There was a south, east, and west block, right? So there were like groups of buildings that you went to, and then someone was like, "Oh, I have class in North Block, right?" And I was like, "On the field?" And they're like, "No, North Block, the buildings." And then my brain was like, "This isn't real, right?" And I flew, and that was the first time I lucid dreamed, because I was like, if I'm dreaming, I could just fly, and then I flew, and you kind of control it however you want. Anyway, it's cool though. You should look it up. I read a book once about lucid dreaming, and then after that book, I can do it. If I went to bed tonight and tried to lucid dream, I would.
I think I've heard that you're supposed to keep like a little diary next to your bedside.
Yeah, it's
and
important.
then like try and get into the habit of the very first thing you do when you wake up is just start writing in your diary, like whatever. Because like, isn't it something like your memory for dreams is like really good, but only like for like 5 seconds or something crazy like that. And then after 5 seconds, that like the memories of that dream, even if you remember them afterwards, are so like such a small part of what
100%.
actually happened or whatever. So that's why you start. That's why, because I always get the sensation of like, I know I had a crazy dream last night, but I can't remember anything about it. I just know that it was crazy.
Weirdly, it's kind of like, to make this a music podcast, it's like writing a song, right? You can, when you think about writing a song, it's crazy, right? You're going to come up with words that are unique and a song that's unique, and it's hard to do. But when you exercise the muscle, it becomes really easy. So now, if I picked up that guitar, even though it would probably be really bad, I could sit and just write a song. And I could be like, here's a new song. Same with dreams. So when you start, you'll wake up, and as you say, you're like, I had this dream, there were a bomb in the building, I diffused it, and you have all of these details. And I think they say after 10 minutes, you're likely to not remember any of it. So as you say, and I do it all the time, you'll be like, oh man, that was a crazy dream. And then 10 minutes later, when you've got your coffee, you're like, what was that dream? You don't know. So what happens is when you start writing it down, and every detail as well. So like, I was on a pool table, but it was pink velvet, and we were using marshmallow sticks or something. You write all of it down, and then your brain starts to be able to remember dreams. So now whenever I have dreams, 9 times out of 10, I remember them.
I was just thinking that the only thing that's close to sort of lucid dreams that happens to me, because I can't really control them or whatever. But what I'm getting at is, I quite often I'll dream about the last thing I was doing whilst I was like awake. So like if like the last thing I've done, not like the very last thing I've done, but if the last thing I've done was like binge, I don't know, a TV show.
Oh, sure.
Like Ted Lasso or something, right? I'm likely to have a dream that I'm like a football coach or something. Right, or like playing a lot of Football Manager at the moment. It's kind of dominating my life. So like I'll quite often have little weird dreams where I'm like a football manager, and then quite often for the same sort of reasons, I'll have dreams where I'm on my back with my legs up in the air.
I felt like I should roll the intro after it, but we've already done it. Are you good with that? What's worse about that is that I think you had that from the start. Oh, okay.
Popped in whilst I was like thinking about it.
That's terrible. How's your week been?
Average. Nothing really happened.
Yeah, I've had a horrible week.
Oh, how come?
Well, I broke my ribs last week, didn't I?
Wow.
So it's just
old news.
It's just been agony. Every single day has just been agony. And then yesterday we went out with on my lunch break. We went out to walk Gunter and Max, my son, and dog, the other way round. And we went out, and I started doing a lap, and they were playing at the park, and then it heaved rain down. It went from like this lovely, beautiful, nice little day to just pelting rain down, and I had the house keys in my pocket, so I'm halfway around the little field there at the park, so I had to run back, and every single like step of the run felt like someone was stabbing me. I literally got there, I gave the keys, and just like collapsed on the floor. It's so bad. And then I'm having this issue as well where like I think my partner she knows I'm in a lot of pain, but she just doesn't get it. Like she does not get the fact that when I go and let Gunter out, that's like, okay, I'm now going to be fucked for 20 minutes because I'm in so much pain.
I think it's like probably suffers from the same thing I suffer from, which is that like when other people are in pain, I can't help but think it's not as bad as they say it is.
100%. Which is
like,
really
I'm just
fair.
like, I'm like, deal with it. Just deal with it. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and I completely get it, right? Like, oh, you hurt your ribs or whatever. I think I keep... There's been a few days this week where I'm like, I need to go get this x-rayed because I think something's not right. Like, when you crack your ribs and it's like a hairline fracture or something.
Like, as someone that's like that has done it, it does take a long time.
Yeah.
Before you're like, oh, okay, this is like... If it was something bad, you'd know about it by now.
This is the problem, right? They've already said it's 2 to 3 weeks of agony. It'll be 8 weeks till they're fixed, till they're all good. But my problem is, like, there have been days where it is like the tiniest movement. It feels like it's pressing on something, which makes me be like, is a bone properly broken? But I don't know. I think it's fine. As you say, I think it would be like cause it'd be like me not being able to drive here instead of just being in a bit of pain.
Even if like there was a bit of bone that was like touching your lung, right? At some point you would know about it. Like, because you wouldn't be able to breathe properly at all. My
issue...
I imagine it still probably hurts when you take deep breaths, but I imagine your breathing doesn't hurt now.
No, I can breathe normally. I can speak normally. My issue is like any diaphragm thing. So like if I burp is the worst one, but if I hiccup or sneeze. But if I burp at the moment, it's agony. But yeah, so that's been my week basically. There's nothing else really apart from just dealing with broken ribs, having to walk the dog and being like walking around, and after like 10 minutes of walking, I'm like about to cry, just like and everyone's like, "Hi Rob, hi Gunter, how you doing?" It's like, fuck off. That's been it.
Tough life. Meanwhile, normally I like to sort of like scour the internet, scour Twitter for sort of music relevant news.
So you've been scouring?
Not really anything to report. I mean, obviously, Ed Sheeran's court is all sorted now. He's not getting sued. He's won his case, which I think is important for the music industry.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously, like we've spoken about it. There's no point getting into it, but there's a difference between like just straight up stealing music and then just happen to have something that sounds similar.
A few chords were the same.
A few chords, yeah. Do you know what
the
I mean?
melody wasn't the same. The lyrics weren't the same.
And then I've spoken about it again. I'm just sick of like artists that have been dead for quite a while, and then like their kids or grandchildren or great grandchildren are like just trying to cash in anywhere they can.
And I don't even know if it's the family.
Well, I think it's the estate.
It's the estate,
yeah.
But then that could be the label, right? The label could still own the music.
Like whatever way, one way or another. It's mental. I mean, it's. I don't know if it still happens with classical music, but I feel like it would be like as absurd as that. Like,
No, but
like
because
the
there's a rule, isn't
Beethoven
there?
estate or something, being like,
Yeah. I'm the fifth grandchild, great.
Shut
Yeah.
up.
No, well, I know there's laws about when things become like fair use.
Public domain,
Yeah, but it's a huge point. I was really happy to see. I saw the video of him giving his like little presser afterwards, and good for him. I'm glad he won because you listen to it and like if an artist came out and went, I've written this song out of nowhere, we've never seen them before, and it had the same chords as something, it had like the same feel, which I don't think it does. It doesn't have the same feel. Then I would be dubious, right? I'd be like, well, okay, what's happened here? But Ed Sheeran has written like every song of this century, right? He just is a machine for pop music. And then, as he says, he works hard. He's got a team of writers. They're sitting together and making stuff up. And you could he's got hundreds and hundreds of songs he's written.
Yeah.
So for one of them to have chords that are similar,
and not even just songs that he's sung, like because he writes
a
lot of songs for other artists.
Anne Marie, and there's a bunch of other people where you listen to him and you're like, oh, this sounds like an Ed Sheeran song. It probably is.
I'm pretty sure he's written songs for like Beyonce and stuff. I'm pretty sure he's written songs for like just so many people.
Yeah, 100%. He's a songwriting monster. So it's
well,
shit
because
that he has to
I
go
think
through
I've heard him say a couple of times. Sometimes he'll write a song, and he'll be like, "This is really good, but it's just not. It's not an Ed Sheeran song. It's not.
Yeah.
This isn't like a me song." So he'll just be like,
Who wants?
Yeah. He's just like, well, I know this is a good song. I just don't want to sing it.
He's mental as well. That to the point where a lot of artists will have that. Right. I've seen. There's a band that I've seen live where Coldplay had written one of their songs, and it was because it was like, this isn't quite a Coldplay song, so it kind of got almost auctioned off. Ed Sheeran is different to the sense where I imagine it's kind of like he would write a song and be like, this isn't really an Ed Sheeran song. It kind of sounds like an Adele song. For Ed Sheeran, he would pick up the phone and be like, I have a song, and then any artist in the world would go, yep.
yeah.
Done. Like if it's Coldplay, right, Adele, whoever it might be, would take the song.
Yeah.
So it would be funny because he can just ship it out to anyone, and then they'd be like, "Oh, that song's going to make me $5 million or whatever it is."
So that happened.
But good for him. He won the case.
Congratulations. The only other thing I did get a sort of anonymous tip. Who came in last night just before I was going to bed.
Okay. Your legs in the air.
Source. Yeah. That's just a dream, dude.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly,
right,
our favourite person on the podcast.
Oh, that could be two people.
Was Chris Healy?
No, it's
Matt Healy. I keep saying Matt Healy.
Yeah, and not Matty Taylor, the Welsh footballer.
Matty Taylor. Yeah,
Matt Healy.
There's so many names. Too many names, right?
It's your boy from 1975.
It's your boy from 1975. Matt Healy, right?
Yeah,
is allegedly dating Taylor Swift. Woo!
Which is interesting because so is Fernando Alonso from F1. There's big rumours that Fernando Alonso is dating Taylor Swift.
What a hussy.
And the last 2 weeks in the media, all of the questions to Fernando Alonso, if you don't watch F1, he drives a car in F1. But he's like a 40-something-year-old. Like he's wily old. I think he's 41.
Okay.
Google it.
We'll carry on.
Yeah. Apparently he's been, the rumours have been that he's been dating Taylor Swift, and then in all of the presses they ask him, like that, I think Will Buxton did a good one where he was like, I know that you'll probably leave a blank space to this answer, but is there a love story? And he's just like putting in all the Tay-tay.
Well, I did a little bit of research because I got the tip that came in, right? Mm-hmm. Hot tip, and I was like, well, I've got to research this a little bit. I did the briefest amount of research. Read some absolute garbage gossip articles. Like, you know, the trash gossip articles.
I know them,
right?
Yep.
Apparently, right, allegedly, they've been seeing each other for like the last few weeks, but they didn't want to go public.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're very excited to go public, but they haven't gone public yet. But apparently they're excited to go public, and people are losing their shit. And I've got two questions for you, right? One, who do you reckon my inside source was? My tip, right? And two, who the fuck cares? Who cares? Who cares about Matt Healy and Taylor Swift? Is there anyone alive? If oh my God, if there's people out there that are generally on tenterhooks, right, waiting for the announcement of Taylor Swift and Matt Healy, grow up. Grow up.
I'm trying to put myself in the place of like a 14-year-old, and all they do is they listen to Matt Healy and Taylor Swift, and they're like, finally it's happened.
Look me in my eyes and say that the majority of people that care about this story aren't middle-aged women.
No, I don't think they are.
Do you not?
I don't think they are. I think the romance side of it isn't. I think the romance side of it is people in schools. Genuinely, I think. Although I don't know, let us know in the comments below if you care.
I don't know.
I don't. No, so you're saying you have a source. So what I want to know is, did someone directly reach out to you to tell you this?
Yep.
Someone directly reached out to tell you.
Who do you know who's a big fan of Matt Healy?
Well, it'll be Sean.
Yeah.
Seun let you know.
Yeah.
He's like, I've got the scoop.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Sean,
he's our Matt Healy correspondent.
Yeah, Sean
out in the field
actually waxes the back of Matt Healy from 1975. He's his back wax. Waxer.
He gets the strip.
Yeah.
All the hair.
Yeah.
And he just sniffs it.
No, so he's put us in our place a few times just to make us let us know that 1975
he's
is
our
huge.
correspondent, and
we should get him
our expert, Matt Healy expert.
Yeah, we should cut to him.
Like get him on phone him anytime we need to clarify anything.
And it'll always be somewhere really noisy, so we'll cut to him in the studio, and then it will cut to him, and he'll be like by a road, like, yeah, guys. So what I'm hearing here, good stuff. It's great. Look, okay, here's a question: who do you ship more? Matt Healy and Taylor Swift, or Fernando Alonso and Matt Healy?
I don't want Taylor Swift
anywhere
near Formula 1.
That is true.
Because she'll end up waving the flag and ignoring Martin Brundle on the grid walk.
Yeah, but I feel like they're not doing that anymore, the whole grid walk. You don't really see the celebrity. Although, I guess Jeremy Clarkson was on one recently.
Yeah, Jeremy Clarkson was on one recently. I don't know. I've kind of stopped doing it just because it's like I've stopped watching. I used to watch the Formula 1 like a good hour before it starts, the build-up. Now the build-up is just insufferable because it's just all about
especially like
it's all about this weekend. There. And then there's so many pundits right now that I cannot stand.
I think we've said before.
I can't stand them.
Yeah, I think we've said before that the worst part of F1 is like F1 fans, right? But the problem is the punditry, so the team that do the commentating, that's where the drama is. People want to talk about Max Verstappen told George Russell off, but he did this to Lewis, and people want that drama and they want a villain instead of just watching the sport for what it is. Which, again, people, I've seen a lot of people be against Max Verstappen. Obviously, had a word with George Russell. And was like, "What are you doing?"
It was the tamest thing ever. I'm like, my God, I've been watching Formula 1 for like 20 years.
Yeah, people
maybe?
have fought each other
20
before.
years. I'm like. People are upset about that.
Yeah, well, and they're saying that he's a hypocrite and like, oh, well, he's the worst at it. But it's like, what people need to realize is their adrenaline is through the roof, right? We've seen loads of instances before where people have said things. George Russell, who's the person who is in it, literally, there was a string when he moved to Mercedes. The first year, there were 3 races back to back where he crashed into someone and then was going, oh, and he was arguing with his team. I remember in France that happened.
He took out Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, and then hit him
in a spectacular fashion.
Yeah,
right? It wasn't malicious, but it was his fault. He put a tyre on the grass on a straight, lost control, smacked into Valtteri Bottas, took both of them out at high speeds, right? And then walked over to Valtteri Bottas, who's like shaken up, getting out of his car, and slaps him. Yeah. But I'm like, that guy's the biggest bitch in the world.
The
and people are
takeaway
angry at Max Verstappen because he's given a little bit of like verbal.
The takeaway from all of it though is that all F1 drivers are the same person. They want to win a race. They're competitive. They'll put a car up the inside. They'll also be annoyed when someone else does that. And that's every single weekend. There's radio messages. There's things that happen. I just hate the falsified drama where it's like, and then I can't remember what pundit it was, but there was one of them on there who was like, this shows like, oh, here he goes again, Max Verstappen saying all this, but he's the person that does all this. And it's like, no, it's the exact same. You can watch the same clips of Lewis Hamilton, who everyone thinks is the cleanest driver, even though he always has like the most amount of incidents as anyone. It's like the reason why he was good is because he would put his car in that space. Hey, what? Put the car on the like he would do that.
Yeah.
Right, that's Fernando Alonso will drive to the absolute limit. That's why they're the best at what they do. That's why Formula One is exciting to an extent. Some people would disagree with that. But yeah, people love the drama. People love to create these little stories. A part of that's probably because they've found the sport through Netflix creating all of the stories.
Well, the thing is,
I just want to watch racing. That's all I want.
What I don't want to do, right? I don't want to bash on new fans that have found the sport, right?
Sure,
because
it's important.
They've come into the sport. It's good for the sport. It's growing the sport. I get it. That's fantastic. So I'm not having a go at like new fans or whatever or younger fans. What I hate, and this is just general. This is across everything now. So this isn't specifically Formula One. I hate, and it's not even toxic. It's not even toxic fandom. It's just a bunch of whining babies, right?
Yeah.
That have absolutely no understanding of the sport, no understanding of anything really, no understanding of like just not just that specific sport, but just sports in general. They don't understand the adrenaline, the dedication, the like desperation that exists within sports. Right, and then they just sit there and say something crazy on TikTok or Twitter or whatever, and it's not toxic. It's just a complete and utter lack of knowledge about anything, right?
Yeah,
and they'll just spew out garbage, and it'll be directed at Max Verstappen or at Lewis Hamilton, depending on what camp you're in.
And those are the main two.
Apparently nowadays you can only I don't think apart from like. Well, I suppose it is general. I think I am in the minority. I don't hang everything on one driver in Formula One, right? I just don't. It's a bit different with like team-based sports.
Oh, burp on the mic, guys! Roll the burp thing.
That just came out. I'm sorry.
That's so funny. It just came out your mouth.
Anyway,
fell out your mouth.
Right. Anyway. I don't, like it's a bit different with like sports teams, or whatever.
Football,
like,
you grew up with a
sports
team.
teams, whatever, right? But when it comes to like tennis or individual sports and stuff like that, I've never ever, and I don't know why, I don't know what the reason is, but I've never hung my hat on one driver and been like, I will live and die on the hill of Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton. But those two specifically, I'd say the new fans that have come into the sport and they're Hamilton and Max Verstappen fans are just the worst.
They're the
worst. They're the absolute worst of the internet.
I think a part of it is to play, not even devil's avocado, because I'm going in on them, but I think it's the glory hunter people. So it's people that want to root for a winner, right? So they pick their sides, and then when they don't win, it's the most toxic thing you've ever seen in your life. I get called a Max Verstappen fanboy constantly.
Same.
Because I speak against Mercedes and against Lewis Hamilton. Because I just don't really like them that much. I think they're kind of... I don't know. I think sometimes I can really appreciate them. There's been races where Lewis Hamilton has been phenomenal, right? Yeah. And I will say now, he's a generational talent, right? So in sport, you always have someone every 7 or 8 years that come along and they'll be better than the majority of the other people. And Lewis Hamilton was that, right? And he went to Mercedes and he was in the best team. They built the best car. That's an unstoppable force, right? It just is what it is. So as a racing fan, if you're watching the racing for what it is, that becomes pointless. They can do what they want and they'll get a 1-2 perfect. And then you start watching the rest of the grid. Now, I want a fight here. I want there to be multiple cars. If it's Red Bull, if it's Mercedes, if it's Ferrari, whoever it is, that excites me. Yeah. But the problem is, as you say, it splits into two now. So you've got the Mercedes, Hamilton's the greatest driver of all time, that now can't say Hamilton isn't the best driver on the grid. He might have been at one point, but he isn't now, right? And that's just a factual statement because he's getting beaten by his teammate, he's getting beaten by a load of other drivers. He just isn't coping well with not having the greatest car. Now, it's not to say that all of his success was based on him having the greatest car, but that was his situation. Because he was a great driver, he went in the best car. It self-fed. It's, the Max Verstappen fans, I think, are the counterpart of that, but they sit on the complete opposite side of the fence, where it's like, okay, well, we don't want to root for Lewis Hamilton. He's ticked through. They want something exciting, but then it becomes like, anyone, like, I think they defend him too hard. Like, he's a driver that makes mistakes. He is an aggressive driver. So is Lewis Hamilton. Anyone who wins a world championship is an aggressive driver. That's just a fact. Vettel was. Alonso was. That's just right.
Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher was the king of
Senna.
it. Yeah.
People won't remember, right? Because Ayrton Senna was a long time ago. But if you go back and watch his races, Ayrton Senna was the best driver in the world, but he was also the most aggressive.
100%.
He would purposely put his car in the way of other cars so that he like, if you want to carry on going, you're going to have to crash into me.
Yeah,
and you'll take both of us. You'll take both of us out, but I am not getting out your way. And that mentality, you have to have that to win. Lewis Hamilton is aggressive.
Well, more recently though, to make a more recent comparison, Lewis Hamilton in the best car was undefeated, right, for 7 or 8 years, apart from Nico Rosberg, who went toe to toe. Yeah, and if you watch the races of that season, it was what you're saying. It was like, okay, we're both going into this corner. Who's going to back down? And they crashed a bunch.
Nico Rosberg is not a better driver than Lewis Hamilton, right?
No, I think that's fair to say.
He was good enough to be close.
Yeah.
And he was aggressive and got in
Lewis
Hamilton's head. He won the mental battle of that season, and he won.
The same thing happened, right? George Russell went into Mercedes and they went toe to toe, and Lewis Hamilton kind of crumbled under the pressure. Now, the devil's advocate here is that George Russell is an up and coming driver, and Lewis Hamilton is not. Lewis Hamilton has had his established career, but you have to compare. They're in racing cars, right? And there are results. And
Sorry,
but then
I'm smiling because I'm like, we should just bite the bullet
and just make an F1
make podcast. Another podcast because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, let's tear away from this. But the point is, if you strongly disagree with anything we've said, you're probably one of the cucky fanboys that we're talking about, right? They're just insufferable. What I want to watch is a bunch of people race and it be good racing.
Well, I think it's linked, right? Because this has only really happened in the last like couple of years, right? Since Netflix.
Yeah, I
can't remember before Netflix. So. There's obviously like camps. People are in camps.
Yeah.
But the real like nasty, toxic with inverted commas, bitchy whininess, right?
Yeah,
has only really been around for like the last like 2-3 years since Netflix.
Do you think Netflix has changed, or is it just society?
No, but what I think is it's a direct correlation of I've always been saying that like politically now we live in a world where the young generation are so tribal with their politics.
Yeah, that is true. Politics. That is true.
And I think it's just like now like these people are now watching Formula One, and that's just how they do it. That's what they know. They're like, okay, this is my camp. This is where I support.
Yeah, we're right.
Everyone else is scum, wrong, and I will die on the hill of Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just what it is.
Yeah, I'll respond as well to people who will say that I'm a Max Verstappen fanboy. Right, I've had that before.
I criticise Max Verstappen,
but I'm exactly 100%.
As much as I do Lewis Hamilton. It's just I don't hate Lewis Hamilton, but I'm not a fan of Lewis Hamilton. I don't like him.
Do you know what? Recently, the last few years, now that he's a bad driver, now that he's a terrible F1 driver, he's like the Nick Kvyat.
He's not as bad,
right? Now that he's just an abysmal, awful driver. That if he was in the Aston Martin, he would be 15th every race, right? Now that he's a terrible, irrelevant driver, I actually quite like his personality. I think, apart from when he's like, he wears the stupid clothes and all of that, and then he's like, why is people telling him, because you're wearing silly clothes, you idiot? But I don't mind him that much.
Like an extra from Zoolander.
Yeah, it's mental. But what I would say is, right, for me, I did root for Max Verstappen to win when it was between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton.
Now, though,
and anyone else in the grid, I would prefer to win a drivers' championship now.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's how I am with Formula One.
Throw Lance Stroll up there. I don't care.
Here's the thing, right? Max Verstappen, right, starts flying away with it, right, which he's in danger of doing.
Yeah.
Right. So Perez now has put his foot in a little bit, and it's like a little bit, but I think like.
It's not sustainable.
No, Max
the
Verstappen
talent
will
gap
start
is too
just
big.
like flying.
Yeah.
Right. If that happens, right, and all of a sudden Mercedes bring a package, right, that puts them competible with Red Bull, right, and Lewis Hamilton starts driving like off his socks, right, again, and starts being like the old Lewis Hamilton. People say old Lewis Hamilton, but Lewis Hamilton of like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I will probably start rooting for Hamilton because I want to see a close fight
Yeah. Give me the last race.
When they're neck and neck again, I'll probably start cheering for Max Verstappen again, because I'd rather see Max Verstappen than Hamilton win.
Let's just have some good racing.
I don't want to see Max Verstappen win by like 100 points at the end of the season. And if Lewis Hamilton is the person that is going to like be on his tail, there'll be races where I'm cheering for Hamilton. Yeah, where I'll be like, come on. Yeah, because I want the last race of the season to be like, who's going to bloody win?
Here's the thing: I've not liked Lewis Hamilton for a long time, right? But when his tire popped, Silverstone,
I screamed.
I was on my feet. I was like, come on. And I was watching Max Verstappen catch up with him. I wanted Hamilton to take it. And when he crossed the line, I was like, that was incredible.
Yeah.
So it's just about the moment. I just got goosebumps, look. Goosebumps.
You got goosebumps. And we need to stop.
Yeah, that's enough of F1. Football? This is a sports podcast. Here's what I was going to say about football.
The problem is nothing's happened.
Nothing's happened to music. No. Right, I'm going to cut to me, right? And I'm going to get up, right, before today. I Googled music news. That's always full of good stuff.
One other thing, right?
Yeah.
That I didn't mention from last week.
Yeah.
They're reopening the flagship store of HMV.
Was it closed?
Yeah, Oxford Street. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. That's good. Congrats.
Next. I was just saying, nothing's happened.
We got asked to play at HMV, didn't we? Our bands. Have you seen the messages about that?
No.
You see it? Right. Okay. Does anyone else have it? Right. You guys are all in bands. Do you have it where you have a WhatsApp group, right, for your band, and there's one member that just doesn't ever acknowledge it? So anytime you book a gig or a rehearsal or anything, you have to leave the group to let me know if that's just us, because you're in a hassle. But basically, yeah,
I don't like being in any group WhatsApp chat.
A HMV has reached out for us to play in their store. Ugh. Which you have actively said already, because we've seen people we know do it, that it feels really embarrassing and awkward. I've kind of said
it's the whole like. It's like kind of forcing people to listen to your music.
This is the thing. It's what I said, right?
I get uncomfortable if there's a band playing in HMV. I'm like, I just want to shop, dude.
They're stood by the t-shirts. You want to have a look at the t-shirts. Now what are you gonna do?
Stood like blocking a record aisle or something, and I'm just like, I just want to buy some vinyls.
Yeah,
dude.
agreed.
I'm like, I didn't come here to listen to music, and I get why they do it, because they're absolutely desperate, because they're a failing company. Because I think. They're opening the store. They're reopening their flagship store, right? It's their first store, right? So it's like a big deal. But I think they're doing that on the back of a boost in vinyl sales.
Yeah,
that is not going to be an upward trajectory. That's just a short-term boost of vinyl sales. Like have you been in a HMV recently?
Not for a year.
Like, it's crazy, dude. I don't understand how they're still going. We've previously worked in HMV, right?
True.
I still speak to people that work in HMV.
Yeah.
And just from conversations I've had with like people, I'm like, I don't understand how they're still. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how HMV is still going.
Maybe this is the move.
And it will be really sad the day that it goes out. So I hope it doesn't go out.
But it's tough. It's like Blockbuster, right? There comes a point where it's not really sustainable to have a shop like that. Is that the argument? Like experiential shopping? Is the argument having bands? Is having gigs? Maybe it is, but at the moment the problem is they used to have quite big shows on, right? But it's different when you have like a big name coming in and playing, and you have the shop is closed because we're gonna have 400 people in our shop. That's different to we'll get these bands in and we'll promote local music, which is a really great thing, but no one is coming for that, and it's in a location, right? If it was in Reading, we probably could get a fair few people down to that. It's not in a location where we could get a load of people down to it, so it's like it's tough to. We've spoken about it before. The most important thing about managing a project is making sure you get something out of everything you do. It's one of those gigs where it's like I don't think we would get anything out of it. The only thing I would think is that if we had a gig in that town that evening, so if we were playing, it would be a warm-up. So I would be like, let's turn up early, we'll set up, we'll play a little set there, and then we'll go and actually play the gig. I think that's how I would say it, because otherwise it's like either just pay the artist or they're not going to do it.
And don't get me wrong, it's like, because like they have had, because I've worked there where they've had bands in that have, you know, big bands or whatever. I can't remember who we had ages ago. I can't remember, but it
Peter
was
Andre. Oh wait, that was a book signing.
That was a book signing, and that was just in the Oracle.
Yeah.
But we had a band in, and they were fairly, like, they were big. Mm-hmm. Like, they had an album that was released in the store that day, and there was, like, I think there was, like, maybe 150 people that came to buy albums, and then because they were playing like a short set and then signing everyone's albums afterwards. I can't remember who it was, and like they were big enough that like there was a lot of people, like they were all girls, all like teenage girls, whatever.
Was it the Vamps?
And it might have been. And I remember people were bringing stuff in, because I remember afterwards, I don't want to, maybe we'll bleep it, because I was about to say that they left every single thing that was given to them in our staff room, and they were like, "What are you taking this?" And we're like, "No, just bin it." And they told us to bin and like people. This is like artwork that people had like written, and like people had baked them. Like, and there's this like big table full of stuff in our staff room, and they were just like, "No, we don't want that. Bin it."
Yeah. It was really...
So maybe bleep it.
I'm not gonna bleep it.
No, I think you should.
No, because I think it is. I think I've got it right. Who it is?
Is it yeah. But yeah. And that makes sense to me, because they're a big band, and it was like part of it. It brought people in and it generated sales. But when you're just getting like, relatively speaking, unknown bands in, right,
facts,
that don't have a CD for sale in your store.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things they say.
I just don't understand.
I think they have a local section, so you can get your CD in there, but it's like, I don't know. Anyway, what I was going to say is just to reiterate the lack of news. So I've just Googled music news. Taylor Swift and Matt Healy are rumoured to be dating. So we covered that off. Very happy Ed Sheeran wins Thinking Out Loud copyright case. Tick. And then we're down to like how 50/50 became the rare K-pop band to pierce the UK top 40. That's The Guardian. So good for them.
Hard-hitting news on The Guardian.
Post Malone, and now this was interesting. He's come out to talk about his recent weight loss. There's been videos of Post Malone that people have been saying they're worried about him.
Is he
and I
put
kind
on
of
weight, or like,
lost?
I just lost
because
I've never really seen him and thought he's overweight.
No, I think he's kind of like us, but less. I think he's like maybe he was a little bit over. I don't know. But yeah, there are lots of videos coming out. I've seen a few of them and have had the same concerns. I've seen videos of him performing at a concert, and he looks rough. Like he looks like he's struggling a lot.
I don't know, because I think there is also a thing that, like, if you've seen someone in the public domain for a long time and they're not overweight or even fat, but let's just say they've got a little bit of excess weight more than like being in perfect shape.
Yeah.
When you've seen that person for long enough, and then they lose a bit of weight, and they're just a normal, like a healthy weight or whatever. Yeah. I think sometimes that can look weird. And you're like, oh, like they look really skinny, but in actual fact, they've just lost that little bit of extra.
Yeah, they
weight.
can change, or they look a bit rougher. I don't know. Get a bad haircut.
Because I think some people were saying, I think maybe it was Adele when she initially lost weight. People were saying that about Adele, I think, to begin with, and it's just because it was such a shock, because I feel like she lost weight relatively quickly. So I think a lot of people had seen her like. Mm-hmm. You know, at her heaviest weight, and then the next time they've seen her, because Adele's not, I don't think she's like that out in the spotlight between albums and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think she's quite hidden, so people haven't seen her in a while, and then all of a sudden she's come out really slim. I think it naturally looks worse, maybe, but I don't know. I've not really seen pictures of Post Malone.
So Post Malone, the problem is it's not just weight loss. Like, weight loss was the last thing on my mind, really. It looked like drugs. It looked like he was doing loads of drugs. He's come out and said he doesn't do drugs. He drinks and smokes, or maybe he stopped doing drugs, possibly. But basically, he looked. I've seen videos of him doing a concert that reminded me of the last Amy Winehouse concerts, where if you watch the last concerts of Amy Winehouse, it's difficult because you're watching. She's off her face. Yeah. She doesn't know what she's doing, and at points, band members, like the session musicians, will be like propping her up and helping her stand so she can finish the set. It's uncomfortable to watch. It's been similar to that, where he looks really out of place, really struggling. And I've seen videos of him interacting with people, and it's just been really off. So people were just worried. He's come out and said that he has lost a fair bit of weight recently, but it's because he's just had a kid and he's trying to be healthy and he's cut back on drinking soda and he's eating healthier.
He's probably not sleeping as much as well.
Yeah, he said going on tour means that he loses a load of weight.
Stress as
so
well.
Hopefully he's good.
Stress. People underestimate what stress does to like the human body.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like stress can kill you. Like literally, you can die from stress.
Maybe it's like I don't know. All I'm saying is, when I watched them, I just thought I hope he has a friend or someone close to him that can just make sure he's okay.
I hope he's all right,
it seems like he is.
I'm not like a fan of his music, right?
But he's a
in
cool
the
dude.
Slightest, but every clip I've ever seen of Post Malone, he just seems like a real down to earth, nice guy. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who like takes advantage of his fame or even recognizes his fame. He's just he's always like chatting with people. Whatever. He seems pretty genuine. So I hope he's all right.
He
because I feel like in the world of like shitty morals and shitty what's the name of the thing when you look up to people?
When you I don't know, celebrity?
No. Like I can't figure
the
the
word where you look up to people, like
like you
or...
you hold them in high esteem and you want to be like them and you follow their morals and you look to them as an example. I can't get the word out.
Word.
Yeah,
like role model.
Yeah, just role model. Yeah, role model. In a world of
different
role models, in a world of shitty role models, I feel like someone like Post Malone is as good as it gets.
Yeah,
like especially in the industry.
He seems like a good dude. It's weird because it's like when I read the article, I was like, oh, maybe okay, as long as he's fine, it's good. But then I'll send you some of the videos I've seen where it's like he looks like he's struggling a lot. He looks really out of place. So hopefully he's all good. Sounds like he's all good. But he's there's videos of him doing some country covers on YouTube that are phenomenal. It's one of the coolest sounds ever.
Which has just reminded me of that dude on TikTok you sent me. I think he was on like a radio show who was doing country versions of pop songs.
Yeah.
It was like the best thing I've ever heard.
I love that.
I can't remember what his name was.
That's a good... I can't remember what his name was.
But he was just on a radio show and he had a guitar and he was just singing pop songs. Like, so I think he did like...
I think it's Miley Cyrus.
Ball.
Yeah, the Wrecking Ball.
And then I think he did a Lady Gaga song.
Yeah.
But just in the style of like Johnny Cash.
That's the TikTok I like.
It was amazing and it made me instantly... I was like, if he released an album of just pure covers of pop songs in that style, I'd buy it.
Yeah,
it instantly.
I think you probably will.
I don't like the song "Wrecking Ball." Right?
Yeah.
I think it's an absolutely garbage song. But then he sung it, and I was like, "That sounds amazing."
Yeah, it's just a Johnny Cash song.
I was like, "That's a great song."
I've always been a big fan of that lane in TikTok. There's a lot of people that do like. There's a girl that does like if I had a verse on an Eminem song, and it's all good. It's good stuff. Should we listen to some music?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's listen. Our first submission is from New York City.
Ooh.
So tough luck against the Devils.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's not.
It was a mixture of mediocre performance, followed by bad performances, followed by a good performance, followed by the worst playoff performance I've ever seen from the New York Rangers.
Yeah, it was bad. I agree. I watched it. Absolutely nothing. This is Judeo.
Okay.
From New York. Any guesses?
Judeo.
Makes me think of Rufio from Hook. Judeo.
I don't know. I think rap. I'm gonna go rap.
Okay.
I feel like it's like a kind of rap name.
It's a rap name. Judeo. We're going from the top. Let's play it. Oh, I almost messed up. I hate Spotify so much, right?
Standing in the city streets,
I can't hear it.
Looking for a way to see what we even had. I've been searching for a way to find you and make you mine, but I've started to realize I'm already out of time.
I can't hear anything.
I can't find a way to move.
I've just noticed as well.
I'm still rocking around you. I can see right through you.
Right, I just listened to 30 seconds of Judeo.
Nothing.
Your headphones aren't working then, are they? I just heard that change it. He's not even had his headphones on.
Mate. Not plugged in.
Do I need to play that again?
Yep.
What are we going to do with the edit?
Cut it.
I can't be bothered to cut it.
No, we'll cut that little bit, right?
This is the same. Let us know what you think of the second time of Judeo. This is you and me. Yeah, because you started speaking, I was like, this is fucking rude. Just speaking over the submission.
I couldn't hear it. My headphones have not been plugged in.
Well, yeah, evidently. That is insane. You got it?
Yeah.
Standing in the city streets had me moving mad. I've been looking for a way to see what we even at. I've been searching for a way to find you and make you mine. But I've started to realize I'm already out of time. Don't tell me I can't find a way to move you. I'm still rocking around you. I can see right through you. I've been trying to find out how to get through to you. I've been trying to find out.
I played it a bit longer because you.
I feel like it was
Shit
building
on
up to something. It sounded like sort of.
It sounded like it was going to be like some Radio 1 music.
Well, no, because I was going to say it kind of sounded a little bit kind of like mid 2000s or early 2000s dance.
No, I don't think that's right because
No, but it
what
was
you're
building
talking
up to it,
about.
and then it was going to drop.
Yeah, but early 2000s dance is like ice rink music.
That is
You know what I mean?
true. Yeah, that is true. That is true. And it's the only,
I want to see if it
only
gets
decade of dance music, but I will still listen to it.
Do you know what
Like
it,
nostalgia.
what it sounds like it's building up to me is the more modern dance music where it builds up and then the drop is like something bassy but really simple.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Boom, boom.
It definitely feels like it could be like.
Oh, I hit play.
Stop.
Last night on my mind, I can't
called
get
it.
myself to
Banger,
Sounds pretty good, though.
Banger. And it's also he should have selected the drop.
Yeah,
for us to
possibly.
listen
He
to.
actually specified the beginning as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was by design. But I do agree. If he just pushed it a little bit forward, we would have got into that. It
or
sounds
maybe
amazing.
that's what he
though.
wanted. He wanted because like
It
like
might have been
people,
the tease.
people that know music were like, this sounds like it's building
Yeah,
to something.
let's see where it's
So
going.
it might be, so we might have just ruined it.
Possibly. That is that's Judeo.
It's good
So
stuff. Good
that's
stuff. Sounds like something that would be playing in like a gym. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I can hear
Kind
that
of
for
like
sure.
not too over the top, but it's just sort of like
I was about to say, and then I
Like
realized that
running
this.
music.
I
Like
realized
if
this is an insult.
if you're going for a run, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that is like the perfect kind of music to have playing.
I've just chucked it on the playlist. So we have a featured arts playlist. Check that out. It's in the description. What I was going to say was, but then I realized this is an insult, and I don't mean it to be an insult, but it sounds like it would sound great through Beats, through some Beats headphones.
Because of the bass.
Because it's bassy and it's
I feel like that is an insult, except from people that are making like dance,
Possibly,
drum and
yeah.
bass, and like.
that might listen to it on Beats. Although this dude, smart as hell. Do you want to hear about Jude,
Yeah, man.
the artist behind Judeo? He is a Harvard alum,
So he's
Columbia med
got
student.
smarts.
He's a doctor.
He's got smarts.
This guy's a doctor. Basically,
Oh my! He's got a doctor.
he's
and he's
excited
like banging
to
out,
begin this journey. So I think he's a med student. But
whipping out bangers like that.
it's weird with doctors, isn't it? Because doctors are med students for years. So I don't know. But
It's like yeah. Well,
if you need a prostate
the
exam,
only thing I know about
I don't know, give him a call.
is that what you want now? You've seen a picture of him and you're like,
Oh well, let's not make this weird.
I want
say though-
those fingers. No, but
His music sounds amazing, and he's
I was also going to say the only thing I know about the medical industry is from Scrubs. So
sure, yeah, that's fine.
yeah, man.
But yeah, no. So he's just a cool doctor, artist, musician. So he's just crushing it apparently. So
He's
good
like,
for
yeah,
him.
if he doesn't make it as a musical artist, he can fall back on being a doctor.
If he doesn't make it as a musical artist, he can star in his own sitcom on Amazon Prime about a musical doctor, which is it's insane.
He's made me angry. He's got the
crushing
talent.
it, isn't he?
He's got a successful career lined up.
Yeah.
He's handsome.
He's in amazing shape. He's
Just get him off the screen.
I'm
I
sorry,
don't want to look at him anymore.
we just start spitting. Amazing submission. It
Put
sounds
someone
great.
ugly up. Put a picture of me up.
Why would you say put someone ugly up? I've not seen who the next person is, but I do need to cut to someone else. Our next submission is Cess, Cess, from Carson, California. Any guesses as to the Cesses?
Cess. I absolutely
He's saying
nothing,
Cess.
nothing to go on. Cess
From California.
From California.
Maybe it's Cess like Jess. I'm going for pop.
pop.
I'm gonna say it's some poppy Cess music.
No, I'm gonna go just it's like hardcore rock.
I just went on their Instagram and I don't think it's hardcore rock. They've asked for 4 seconds, and I've not played it from 4 seconds. Here we go. So that's 30, but I'm just going to quickly do a little jump to check something. Okay, cool. I was just checking because my feedback was something that could have been changed later in the song, and I think it was. It sounds good though. It's very. I'm going to be honest now that this type of music, this brand of music, is fucking massive at the moment. This is your Wet Legs. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like
it's definitely got that influence.
Instrumentally, really good.
But then
indie.
It also has a unique lyrical sort of like.
The singing
quirk.
Is different, right? It's not like. I think it's currently the in thing as well, so it's a bit of a shame because if this was their unique sound, if this was their unique sound, it's now everyone's.
When you say unique
sound.
though, I feel like it's kind of the birth, as far as like what I know is. Probably Paramore though, isn't it? It's like it's got that Paramore
I don't think
influence.
so. I don't think so.
Yeah, that kind of Wet Leg. I think Wet Leg is sort of influenced a little bit by Paramore because Paramore was quite because they would have those sort of like weird lyrical inputs into the songs and stuff.
I think my problem is with Paramore, there's not an element that's almost like spoken word, whereas with Wet Leg and with this, it's kind of like there's one, and this comparison isn't to this artist, it's to Wet Leg. But there's a Wet Leg, like the copycat of Wet Leg, have this song that says like "You shushed me in the cinema" or something. It's the worst song I've ever heard in my life, but it's because they're trying to copy that. Whereas this felt very authentic. It felt like that probably is their sound. It was good. I have to confess, it's hit and miss for me. Like Wet Leg are people that I knew growing up, and then I listened to them and I'm like, it doesn't scratch the itch that it does for other people for me.
I think that was good though.
But
it was good. I feel like
yeah.
I could hear that being played in like a movie where the main character is like going through a nightclub or something.
Yeah, and then
like
they're
John
on a
Wick,
train.
He's got a gun. And there's like some sort of like covert action scene going on.
Yeah, because it would sound really good behind a door as well.
This is
which is
playing.
a really weird thing to say about a song.
No, exactly what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the
you hear it,
where
and
you
then the door closes.
The
and it's like
yeah, muffled in the background.
Yeah,
that
it sounded really good though. It's good, great submission.
Fantastic sort of movie background music.
I don't know what genre it is either.
Like
I guess it's like alternative.
Yeah, I don't know because it's not like I don't know. It's not offensive. It's what I like about like. A lot of that style of music.
I'll say when you say not offensive, what I think you're saying there is like it's not like an extreme of something.
Yeah.
So like you can listen to rock and it's too much.
Well, it's like,
this is never too much.
It's like, do you know when you listen to, I'm not even sure what the genre is called, but there's like genres out there where it's like, I don't know, hardcore electro house or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just like and just weird noises.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is just giving me.
Like, I've not had enough ketamine for this.
Yeah. I think like you have to be high off your tits to listen to this music.
Yeah.
Whereas like this, it's just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound really good.
If that came on the radio, I'd keep it on.
There's only a production tip that I would say for me, and it's why I skipped through. So with this, the vocals I think were very much almost like an instrument layer. So they were treated in the mix quite low down, which is fine. And then later on in the track, the effects fell off of the vocals, which is good. It's like changing it up, keeping it interesting. But at no point did it feel like they were then jumping on top. Like I would like another gear for dynamics to then be like, and here's the singing a bigger part. But maybe that just doesn't work for the style or genre. But the submission is great. I always love when we get something a bit different as well. It's cool. The one thing I will say, and I'll reach out, is that we got this on SoundCloud. so I won't be able to add it to the playlist.
But it will be linked below.
Possibly. I'm saying that.
If we can.
But I may just be able to find it. Merlin. No, okay, there's a lot of songs called The Birds in the Sky. Right. That's good stuff, though. Thank you for the submission, Cess. Instagram is Cesspool. But I guess her name is Cess. Yeah, keep it up. It's really good sound. Now, we'll listen to our third band. We had a bit of a weird one, so we didn't get any comments on the last video.
Yeah.
I got notified of 2 comments that came through. So on...
I think something is happening.
Something's that, I don't know what. Maybe we've said some naughties again. Or
I did,
something weird
I
with
was
the channel.
going to bring it up in the week as well. There was a day where there was hardly any views on the video.
Weird.
And then it started getting views again. So I don't know what happened, but I think something happened.
It's a confusing world of YouTube, isn't it?
YouTube's a bloody minefield.
But yeah, so that
as much as I love YouTube, I hate it.
The only reason I brought up the comments was because there is a chance that we had people that have submitted music comment on last week's video. I didn't see it. Yeah. I've checked the held for reviews. I can't find them, but I can see that they exist. So there are 2 comments there. Because of that, we don't have any engagement. Usually we'll play a song based on engagement. We don't have that. So instead, we will spin the wheel
of fortunes.
Yeah, so we're just going to spin that now. And we'll check out. That's on the screen. There we go. Let's see who we're listening to.
Great sound. Great
I bet
sound.
it'll be someone we've already listened to. I always mess this up. Silla Dream.
Still a dream.
Not to be confused with
Still a dream.
Cilla Black.
Still a dream, B. Going back to the beginning.
Is it? Oh, a dream. Yeah.
Still a dream.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's still a dream.
Yeah.
And while you find that, I guess I'll riff.
Cut to B.
Did you listen to Metallica's new album?
I didn't.
Oh,
I said that I was going to, and I didn't.
God. You're an idiot.
Is it good?
Disgrace. Well, yeah, we've already talked about it, but I mean, yeah.
I thought you listened to one song.
No, well, I listened to all of the songs, but like briefly. Do you know if that makes sense? But
yeah,
I listened to like 30 seconds of each song. But since then, I've listened to the album. Yeah, I like it. It's a great album. Great album. You should check it out.
I saw. This is music news, I guess. But I saw Ben Howard is releasing an album. Have you seen this?
Ooh, interesting. I haven't listened to Ben Howard.
Oh, I was just using.
Although to be honest, I don't think I was a massive fan of the stuff that he did after.
This is
Every Kingdom.
So this is the problem.
Is it Every
right?
Kingdom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He released his first album. He released was a perfect album, right?
It was just everything
phenomenal.
I wanted, like in terms of like genre and like.
It was one of the greatest albums I've listened to.
I don't think there's a skip on there.
No, there's definitely not a skip on there. So this is the problem. But I saw he released it, and I listened to the advert, and I thought it sounded shit. Like
really?
that advert to be like the album's coming out sounded terrible. I think the problem was Ben Howard is kind of like a Damien Rice, where the first album is this real masterfully written, beautiful acoustic raw, and then after that. They're like, what else can we do? And then they try and make it bigger, and that never really works. So this the teaser for this album was like this kind of electronic. It had eradicated his voice. It was a lot. When I say electronic, I mean like heavier in instruments. But I don't know. I'll have to check it out. But I was a bit like, ugh, I don't know. Anyway, Silla Dream are from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Ooh, this is our first Danish?
This is our first Dane. So, any guesses for Silla Dream?
I don't think I've ever heard music that's come out of Denmark. So it could be anything. It could be any genre. I'm going to go... Well, no, because it's called Silla Dream.
Silla Dream.
Because immediately when I think music in Denmark, right, I can't get away from like metal because I'm like,
oh, sure,
Viking, like
it definitely
heavy
exists.
Metal. But then Silla Dream doesn't give that vibe.
I don't know if so. I've just to prep this. What have I just done? Just to prep this bit. I have obviously opened their Spotify so I can see their album art. Looks very indie.
Oh.
Their face reminds me of someone, which doesn't help me, but I don't know. So this is Silla Dream. I want to go dormant. In fact, we're going to cut to B. Are you really excited?
I'm so excited.
I am just checking if they specified time. I don't think they did. I almost just did something terrible, B. Yeah, they didn't specify time. I almost breached GDPR massively then because I was about to hit the button that shares my screen.
I love it when that happens because we can get Mr. Blobby out.
We've not blobbied for a while.
We haven't blobbied.
Right, this is I Want to Go Dormant by Silla Dream. That's 30. That was 35. I let it roll longer.
I was digging it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Really good, interesting blend of like a few different genres there that I feel like fit really well because it was kind of like sort of like modern. Well, do you know like maybe late 2000s like indie where it started getting a little bit more sort of like rock as well, if that makes sense. I don't know, like the Killers, like the back end of the Killers, or but I was thinking more, maybe it's like a little bit like sort of like Queens of the Stone Age kind of like like riffs, guitar riffs, or like Audio Slave or something weird like that, but like not as heavy, but then also had like elements of like 80s in there as well, and then lyrically, like vocally, kind of sounded a bit sort of what am I kind of thinking of? Don't know. I'm not even sure, but it was kind of like a bit almost more... like oh my god, this dead air. I'm trying to think of it's like FIFA songs. There's a couple bands from FIFA that I know, or the Killers. It was just good. Like, it worked really well. I was like the mix of like the sort of 80s style sort of like electronics that were coming in, like the sort of like dreamy belly sort of like noises mixed with that guitar riff. I think it worked really well. I was really good. I mean, vocally the vocals sounded good. Yeah. Really interested to hear more of it. I've had this thought a couple times, and this has re-provoked the thought of would it be worth us on the audio version? So if you watch on Spotify, where we don't have stricter copyright rules, that we could just listen to the whole song. And then for YouTube, I cut the 30 seconds. And then we can react to the entire song. But then the tricky part is that people on YouTube will only hear 30 seconds. Yeah, no. Okay. We'll keep it as it is. Anyway, so Silla Dream, I love the submission. Also, a quick shout out because I don't know. I mean, a lot of the times I think musicians will submit to the podcast, never listen. And then when we have them on is when they listen and go, oh, maybe I like this show. So a lot of the people that watch this are just musicians. This Instagram is really good. I just want to throw out, I hate social media. I'm very bad at it. But I went on the Instagram and he's kind of barriered everything, so it all looks very neat. But it's also kind of themed. Lots of editing is consistent, so he kind of does some visual effects with editing. Looks really cool. But yeah, I just think it's a really, really good social media presence. Great looking ginger beard. He's a handsome ginger. Hey! Yeah, that's right. So I just wanted to shout out that the Instagram's really good as well. I've chucked the song on the playlist. I guess that's the issue. If we listen to the whole song, it doesn't incentivize people to go back to the playlist. Yeah, exactly. So let's keep the playlist going. I don't know what the benefit is of that, but it feels cool to curate a playlist. People put that on their LinkedIn nowadays. Playlist curator on Spotify. Amazing submission though. From Denmark. Top stuff. Denmark was quite close on our honeymoon list. We were thinking of Denmark. And it got edged out. Yeah, I want to at some point just go to all of those sort of like Scandinavia. You should. We're looking and it's cheap. Like there's like I know I'm very aware of what I'm about to say, but also Iceland as well. I know it's not in Scandinavia, but like Iceland, Nordic. Denmark, Sweden, like Finland. I want to go to all of those places because I've always thought they just look so cool. We're going to. I don't know if this is dropping new. No one really cares, right? About where we go on holiday. This is going into the sort of territory of But we're going to Oslo. Shit. We're going to Oslo, right? We were looking at different places, like you said. I wanted to go to places. Oslo's Norway, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we were looking at places to go, and my issue is, if we go to Europe, which obviously Oslo is Europe, it's very, like, we could go to France or Spain, and I just think the experience won't be that much different.
I feel like
we're not going to anywhere unique.
As someone that like has been to lots of holidays in France and Spain,
brag about it.
Right? They're not.
You're like, I'm not bragging about it.
Not great countries to go to.
I think they're fine.
There's nothing wrong with them, but what I mean is like you're not going to go to France or go to Spain and then come back from it and be like, that's the best place I've ever been on.
Yeah, sure.
It's amazing. That was a once in a lifetime trip.
It's
not that great. But whereas like I feel like if you go to somewhere like Iceland, right, I feel like that's cooler. I feel like you're probably going to have a way more unique experience going to like Iceland or Denmark or Norway than going to like Spain.
One thing I would say is that from my own experiences as well, there's a big difference to, for example, me and my partner went to Croatia. That's one of our favorite holidays we've ever done was Croatia. A lot of people now go to Croatia, but they go to like Split, which is like a party town. So you go into a town and you get drunk and great. Where we went was like this is like really douchey to say, but it was like a locals experience. So we stayed at this Airbnb, which was run by this family. The place he was explaining was like war torn. So they only have just recovered from a war. So there wasn't a lot of money, but it meant that there was this amazing community. You were staying kind of close to locals. I got an authentic experience of what it would be like to be a Croatian person, right, living in this town. That was cool. Whereas if you go to Paris in France, you're going to a city in Europe. It's the same as most other cities in Europe. So I think the tactic is you can go to France, go somewhere else, go somewhere different where there isn't like touristy.
There's no problem with it because I always hate when people are like, oh, don't go there, it's a right tourist trap. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's a reason it's a tourist trap, right? There's a reason Times Square is a tourist trap. It's because you want to get the picture of you in Times Square. Yeah, and it's cool. Times Square is cool. It's a cool place to hang out, right? So there's a reason that it's a tourist trap. There's no problem doing the tourist trap things, but do other things.
It's like New York.
We went to like Philadelphia and walked around Philadelphia, and that was like one of the best experiences. But then also just walking around New York, just get lost.
Yeah.
Just walk around New York.
Yeah.
Go to random places. Go into like the sketchiest looking bars.
We did.
And we went into
There was one
real sketchy bars. One that absolutely gave me poisoning.
Yeah, I remember that. You were pretty sick after that because the next day I remember walking around on my own.
I couldn't leave for 2 days.
But the best part of
pooing water.
The best part of, as you say, New York. We went and we did Times Square and we did all of that stuff. One of my favorite things wasn't even Philly. It was on the coach to Philly.
The Greyhound.
And it was like that was the experience of like American life, wasn't it? Instead of it being, if you live in Manhattan, you just live in a city. It's the same as if you live in London. It's that's the sort of experience you get. Whereas, as you say, driving down to Philly. So that's what we're looking for. So we are going to Oslo, but I think we're staying like 40 minutes away from Oslo on this like amazing like lake house place. So it'll be cool. I think we're going to fly to another country as well in Europe. But again, the objective is like, I want to go somewhere that is different. I want to go somewhere that has unique experiences, where people are different, where the culture is different. I think that's my objective when traveling at the moment. Because I don't know. I never get people to do, no offense, but cruises or villas. Like, oh, I'm going to go to this villa in Spain where it's sunny, but I'm just going to sit by a pool. It's like, what? I feel like you're not gaining anything from that apart from a tan.
And then I can't imagine, like, I would not like the fact that you go on a cruise, right? And I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it's fun, whatever, right? But essentially, it's just you're in a fancy hotel, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. Right?
Yeah.
And then you go, like, and then people will be like, yeah, but you visit a bunch of different destinations. And I'm like, yeah, but you rock up to port, you dock, you get out, and then you get like 3 hours or something, or whatever it is. You get, like,
it might
5
be a day.
hours. Might be a day, but what my point is though is that you have a deadline of, let's say, 7 hours.
Yeah.
That is stressful as fuck. Yeah. I don't want to be like constantly walking around wherever we are in like Gibraltar or whatever, being like constantly going like, how far away are we from the dock?
Yeah.
We've got an hour and a half.
This
like,
is Trinidad and Tobago. Be back in 3 hours.
Yeah, it's like it's mental. Yeah. That to me is like the worst thing ever. I don't want that ever. If I'm going to visit somewhere, I want to be able to completely relax and not have anything else on my mind than just wandering around and seeing what I can find. I don't want to be constantly keeping an eye on time. Because you know where you have to constantly keep an eye on time? When you're back at home and you've got responsibilities and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the part of a cruise that I just truly don't understand. Apart from the fact that you then spend 2 weeks just close quarters with people that you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd. I don't know. It's not my thing. I don't think it ever will be my thing. But yeah, I'd prefer to go somewhere. But the thing that I have found at the moment is that, like, not even at the moment, it's high prices, right, for planes. But to fly to, like, Oslo is, like, 20 quid. Like, genuinely. And then from Oslo, we're looking at flying to, like, I think Lithuania is the one we want to do. We want something a bit different. And that flight is £16 per person. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
So, like, you're saying, like, you'd like to go do it. I'd say go and do it.
The good thing is, as well, is, like, I think places like Lithuania as well are really cheap.
I don't think Lithuania is.
Is it not?
Possibly where we're going. I think we're going to a city in Liverpool. But yeah, you are right.
Because I know that there are places, especially in, like, sort of Eastern Europe, that are like, it's like £1 a pint essentially.
This may not be the case now, but in Croatia, the little family-owned restaurant, I got like a litre of beer, and it was 170 kuna, which was, like, at the time I think it was like £1 or like £1.20 for this massive beer.
How many? What? I don't know what that is. There, a litre in pints.
More than a pint.
Like a pint and a half or something.
Yeah, something like that. But it was a lot. Anyway, yeah, that was good. Do you have anything else? Nothing musical happened, did it? Really, we've covered Ed Sheeran. What the hell am I going to make the thumbnail for this?
I don't know.
Say something controversial.
Have
you seen OJ Simpson has a TikTok account?
No, no, I haven't. But I was gonna. What was I gonna say about the coronation?
I don't want to think about what you were going to say.
It wasn't bad.
Coronation's this weekend.
Coronation is now.
Happy birthday.
It's happening now. Jesus.
Prince Andrew. I don't know what do you do on a coronation.
Prince Andrew.
What's cool about the royal family
is they have
paedophiles. yeah, and that's fine though.
Was he actually a paedophile?
No. What happened is it was going to go to trial.
I feel like even if he did what he did, which he did. Right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Allegedly,
whatever.
He was allegedly photographed.
Wasn't she like over? Well, wasn't she like 18?
I think she might have been 16 or 17.
So it might have been illegal.
Yeah, no. And it was in New York.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's in New York because he was hanging with Jeffrey Epstein.
Because
I don't know if you know.
He's
pretty cool dude. He's not. He's the worst.
Unfortunately, for some weird reason, the age of consent in the UK is still 16.
Yeah.
Right? Which is mental. When you think about it.
No, because...
Well, because I've always said this, right? It's weird because...
dangerous, man.
Well, it's weird because if you've got like I don't know, a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old that have been dating for like 3 years or whatever, there's always that weird thing where it's like at some point they're probably, I don't know, having sex or whatever, but one of them might be over and one of them might be under the age, right?
Right.
But it's a weird grey area, but it doesn't matter. But then it's like the age should just be like, it should be 18, right?
I think 18 is probably fine, yeah.
But then there should be like stipulations where it's like if there's like, I don't know, 2 17-year-olds that are dating, then like whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, I don't know,
I have to edit this.
Crazy talking about it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like an adult,
yeah, that's the problem, isn't
dating
it?
someone,
yeah,
right? The age should be 18, right?
Here's the issue.
It should be you can't date anyone under the age of 18.
Yeah, I think that feels right. That feels right because also here's the problem.
But it is currently 16. It is currently legal.
Here's a question. Here's a question though. Here's a question though. You're thinking of... I was about to say this. You're thinking of having sex with a 16-year-old.
Why? That's nihilist. That's nihilist.
No. What I'm saying is you're thinking of if one of us were to be like, this is my girlfriend, and she was 16.
I'm punching you in the face.
Yeah, because I'd be a nonce, paedophile.
Yeah. But technically not.
But
which is what I'm getting.
And you know the person who is in that situation, like technically,
yeah.
Her birthday was last week. Right. But I think that it's the question of if it let's move it to 18, fine. Because even an 18-year-old is weird.
So yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say. Because as me, I'm 31. right?
That's
If I came
old.
to you and I was like, meet my girlfriend, she's 18.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'd be like,
unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Right?
Which we're like, yeah, whatever. Knock yourself out, mate.
It's crazy.
And even he's like 23. I think he goes for 23 and then they turn 24.
Up to like 26, isn't
Yeah.
it? I think it's 20. Is
Something
that the
like
meme?
I don't know.
I can't remember. What was the meme?
No, I
I
thought it was
sent you the other
24.
day,
Wasn't
where
it?
it was like I'm like Leonardo DiCaprio, but with something else. I can't remember what
I
it was.
do remember what you sent. Yeah. Basically, my
No, it's
point.
Football Manager. It's like when my players turn 26.
Oh yeah. Good stuff. My point was going to be, it's different from a 31-year-old to 18. The age of consent is still weird. But then if it's 18, what happens to the two 17-year-olds who want to bump uglies?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
And then is that fine?
That's what I'm saying, because there's a stipulation that already exists, right, in court, where if you're like a 16-year-old and you're dating like a 15-year-old, right, because you've been dating since you were like 13 or 14 or whatever, right, there comes a point where if you're in a sexual relationship, you're technically breaking the law now. Even though a year before that you weren't breaking the law, right? You were just both underage people having sex. And I don't know if there's any legal ramifications for that. I don't know.
Why are we talking about this? Because it's the royal coronation this
And
weekend.
Prince Andrew is involved.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. But there already exists a thing where it's like you're not going to get in trouble if you're 16 and you're sleeping with your 15-year-old girlfriend that you've been with, right? There's like a grey area where the courts are like, that's fine.
Yeah.
So that already exists. So you could just make it 18 and still have the same sort of like stipulations in place where there's like two 17-year-olds doing it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But at least then we could confidently call Prince Andrew a paedophile.
Yeah. Well, I can and I will.
Well, yeah, you
I'll
still
say
can,
he is a nonce
but then
because
when other
allegedly
people come
he's a
back,
nonce.
when the other paedophiles come back and go, well, technically he's not a paedophile, we could go, no, he is.
Have you seen the videos? There's someone on TikTok has gone to the coronation because obviously people have been queuing for days, and there's all of these people dressed in like all the royal, and I love the royal family, and they're asking them like, should Prince Andrew be there? And their responses are so funny because they're all like they're so like apologetic, and it's fine, and then one of them's like, well, actually, the case that was against him was dropped and was settled outside. Just because it was settled outside doesn't mean that there's guilt there. There's lots of reasons why people can settle. And I'm like, it's important to say that the royal family paid, I think it was £16 million.
That's not a small settlement.
£16 million to say, how about we drop this? Right? That's nothing. Like, here's what's happened there. The only reason, and the royal family can have any legal team they want.
Yeah.
In the, like, every lawyer in the UK, they could be like, we're going to pay every lawyer in the UK to work on this case, right? So with that in mind, there is some element of them going, we could lose this thing, right? And for that to exist, Prince Andrew's a nonce. Also, what people don't realise is there are multiple paedophiles in the royal family. There's been multiple times where the royal family has hidden paedophilia. Have a great coronation weekend, everybody.
God save the king.
See you next week.